What's up, everybody? Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. How's the audio and stuff today? Hopefully it's nice and smooth. So we have another Ask Tim today. It is Wednesday, my dudes. Where is that from? I have no idea where that's from. I definitely picked it up from somewhere. Remo is watching ice fall off of my car in the garage over there. He's like, what's this? So anyways, I don't have too much new stuff from us. I do have some interesting news. I don't know if you guys heard. There's rumors going around that apparently ANET is going under. What was the Fabaloo was the website that I found the article posted on. I guess they were liquidating things, and yeah, there's the rumor mill going right now that they are going to be shutting down, or they have shut down. Basically, it looks like suppliers can't get parts from them. There's kind of been radio silence. So I don't know if anybody else has heard anything, but I'll go ahead and post the link in the chat. I actually subscribed to Fabaloo's, what's the word I'm looking for, to their like email list, because they do actually put quite a bit of good information out, and I always make sure to read it and glance through it. They send out emails every day, so I'm not affiliated with them, just another place that I get my printer news from, so I can kind of keep on top of stuff. I mean, I'm only on left channel. Oh, hang on. Filters, edit filters. That's yeah, hang on one second. I'm trying to open the plugin interface. Oh, it looks like it loaded. So I use Marvel GEQ. And apparently it did not load up. So, anyways, how's everybody doing today? But yeah, so it's interesting because I haven't now. ANET has been very religious about reaching out to us to send us machines that come out. Like we had, I think they sent this ET4 and then their N4, which is the resin printer. And they usually send us general sales spam to our support email box, and I haven't seen anything from them in a while. So, anyways, I just wanted to mention that I'm kind of. How many of you guys are actually going to miss ANET? Because I have a kind of a sweet nostalgic spot from them. They're not my favorite printer company. I'll just come out and say that. You know, my top two for Chinese printer manufacturers would probably be Creality and Soval. You know, because they do make decent machines for the price. So I'm just putting some maw in my cup here because I'm gonna need it. Do I have parental consent to stream live? Yes, I do. It's okay. We're growing the beard back out. I'm gonna start a new tradition where every year or New Year, I'm just gonna shave the beard and start over, and we're gonna grow it out. So occasionally I do that. Yeah, and I got my hat on. I got my cardigan on because it's chilly here. What is it, like 14 degrees here in Hobart, Indiana? Not very pleasant. But we do live in the Midwest. Oh my God! Every day at 8:30 a.m. Google, stop. Anyways, so and the only ANET The only ANETs I have here are, if you can even consider it, my ANET A8, which is in this IKEA cabinet enclosure. That was like the first machine I ever bought, but it's basically, what is that? The ship of, I'm going to say it wrong. Ship of, hang on, Theseus? Basically where it's like, if an object's had all of its parts replaced, is it still that object? Yeah, I'm not sure. So, but I have that, and then I have an ANET A8 Plus in our print farm, and that one was kind of a project. The Hotend had issues, and we ended up putting a V6 on there, and it just doesn't get used that much. So I feel like ANET has been, they stepped up their game for a little bit, but I feel like they've just been outpaced in general by Creality. And I remember making a comment about the ET4 and ET5, and they have like different spin-offs of those same models, and the main thing was they shipped with a really crappy firmware. And I believe I made a comment when we were doing those machine reviews on the channel about how, you know, the physical machines seem to be built really well, but the problem is these manufacturers start using these proprietary firmwares that, you know, they rolled themselves, and it is a very bad thing for people that like to tinker. And guess who buys ANETs? People who like to tinker. So if you have, you know, a printer that you can't, you know, hack and modify, and there are ways to get Marlin on there, the problem is that they're much less appealing to people like myself, and I'm sure a lot of people that are watching right now. They're not as appealing to you, because if it's a pain in the ass to flash the firmware, why would you buy an ANET that has this weird firmware on there and it's a pain to flash, versus buying something like Creality or Solval, or, you know, insert one of the many other printer manufacturers out there that use pretty standard software. So, you know, that was my whole thing. So I'm wondering if that had something to do with the downfall of them and the lowering of the popularity of those printers, because I did not seek them out, because I knew that the models that were physically built better, like the ET4 and the ET5, it was going to be a pain to deal with the firmware on them. And you guys all know, as you modify, you eventually need to get into the firmware. And if it's a pain, you know, it's kind of a, what's like a roadblock. So, you know, these are just my opinions here. Anything I say on, you know, this channel here, for the most part, is my opinion based on my experiences. So, yeah, I don't know what you guys think about that, but it's kind of bittersweet. I don't think they're really going to be missed, as sad as that sounds, because they haven't really done anything super unique. I'm just checking their website here. I don't think they really have anything spectacular. It's funny because you Google ANET, they're not even the top result. So they've got, let's see in their lineup. I actually haven't looked at their lineup in a while, so let's pull this up. I'm just curious. And I'm also curious to see, have any of you guys bought an ANET printer in the last year? So, yeah, I see we got bots in there. All right, I'm just closing out of all my chat clients here so I don't get personal stuff popping up. I am, Tor, I know you're on here watching, I am exiting Teams and all my other chat clients. The only thing I'll have open is Discord, so you can ping me on Discord if you need to get my attention. I do have the live streams channel up if you guys want to share pictures or links, because YouTube obviously doesn't allow you to do that. But let's take a look at their website. I'm just gonna go on a little go a little through here and see what they have, because their website's still up, which is interesting. But like this is the whole thing that irks me about it. Look at all these. We got 4 ET4s, we got 3 ET5s. Creality's not that great. You know, come to think of it, the A8V2, I don't know if you guys have heard about that. Let's see. So the ET4X-R, we've got the ET4X, which this isn't, there's not even a full picture of a printer here. Interesting. And then we have the ET4, and, you know, can you tell the difference between the 4 and the 4XR, like a slightly different Hotend design? And like, what's the Pro? I think it just has Trinamics on it, so nothing really to write home there. I have an ET4 here. I think I also have an ET5 as well. You know, but they just really haven't been doing anything that spectacular. So the funny thing is, I don't know if I don't think I've even said this. So I had pre-ordered this ANET A8 V2. I want to say back in September is when they contacted me. I'm gonna pull it up and see, because they did, and they just went radio silent on actually getting me the tracking number and shipping information. I totally forgot about this, because I ended up having to go through PayPal and open up a dispute because they did not ship the printer and they were non-responsive. And I did get my money back. I'm just checking right here. ANET A8. I'm trying to see if I could find the ticket here. I believe I tagged it with our review tag, PR-review, or SA for technically sales. Let's see, SA-review. Yeah, so let's see. They emailed us 5 months ago, so July 27th. I pre-ordered it July 27th. 2 months ago, I sent them an email asking, hey, can you give me an update? And then a couple, like about 7 days after that, so a week, I said, if you don't provide a tracking number, I'll be disputing the payment. And I did, and I ended up getting our money back. And they didn't even try to dispute or counter it. You know, they said 3 months ago was the last update. That was 9/25, and they said, we'll arrange the shipping after the Chinese national holiday. So I haven't heard anything from them. I don't think anybody has gotten this printer. Has anybody in the chat? Have you guys gotten this machine? Because, yeah. I have no idea. So we'll see. This, you know, the A8 was my first printer. That's what got me into 3D printing. It was my first one that I owned. My first printer I played with was an M3D Micro. That thing was a pile. How many of you guys had an M3D Micro? Because those things were absolutely terrible. But, you know, it piqued my interest in 3D printing. So I'll give them credit that M3D is another company I don't mess with because of just poor experiences and quality on their products. So but yeah, so I see 3D printing professors in here. I don't know if he's the actual 3D printing professor, because the icon does not look it. But if that is you, welcome. I don't think I've seen you on here before, maybe once or twice. But anyway, so yeah, I just want to do a side check. It is kind of bittersweet because I do have a soft spot for ANET just because it was my first printer. But all in all, they're just not bringing anything to the table that is unique. You know what I mean? And not that anybody else is doing anything super unique. At least if you're getting Ender 3 clones or, you know, spin-offs, whatever you want to call them, you know, like the VoxLab Aquila, at least you get a printer that's, you know, something you can modify and play with. Whereas the ET4 and ET5 just seemed very kind of cheap, if that makes sense. So, but I as far as I am aware, there's no ANET A8 V2s out there. And I pre-ordered it because I was like, well, I bought an ANET. I'm going to buy the V2 just because nostalgia and see how it is, you know. So there's that. But yeah, that's a good question. 3D printer. Why would we want an ET5? What's it got that makes it better than a3 Pro? There's really nothing. That's the problem. There isn't really anything to write home about for their printers. So, but let's see here. So I'm gonna go and start answering questions. And let's see here. Tim must have set an alarm on his phone. I did. That's funny because I literally out in the shop, I went ahead and set an alarm to go off every Wednesday at 3:45 p.m. to remind me that there's an Ask Tim stream. So I've been trying to manage my time better by setting reminders and trying to make time more of a in-my-face thing because I'm learning that with having ADHD, you need lots of reminders and you need to make time a more in-your-face physical manifestation. So, you know, clocks, reminders, calendars. So I'm leaning heavily into all that stuff to try to manage my time better. You know, and being more aware of what I'm doing. So, and making better use of my time. But let's see here. Who's our first question here? Let's see. I think Dimitri K is the first one for questions. He said, how often do I replace brass nozzles? I feel like I've gotten this question before. And the short answer is I replace them when I have an issue with them. If I get like a clog, or I get you know, like the diameter is chewed out because I wasn't paying attention and ran abrasives through it, um, then yeah, I'll replace them. But typically, you don't really need to replace your nozzle until you start having issues with it. Just on a maintenance cycle, we have been replacing the nozzles in our print farm machines every year at the very least, and we're keeping a maintenance log in our internal wiki of when things were replaced on them. So, you know, you can replace them if you're just using standard brass nozzles. You know, if you feel better replacing it, they're cheap enough. You know, a lot of my machines in here are running our Easy Flow, which are the copper plated ones, which are a little more pricey. So I will typically just run them until something is not working correctly, which I, you know, knock on wood, haven't had a clog I couldn't clear out of them. So, let's see where our next questions are. I need to find somebody to aggregate these questions, or maybe I write a bot. Ooh, that would be interesting. What if I wrote a bot that you guys would, in order to ask a question, you put like a prefix on it, and the bot will see that and then send me those questions. Would that be cool? Like, that's the only way I can think to filter it out. Would have like a, you know, a format that you have to follow to ask the question, then it would filter them out. Professor asks, what's the LED thing in the background? That is a 9-hour project that all the directions were in Chinese and they were wrong, so that was fun. But hey, it works now. It has a Wi-Fi module that I have no idea how to use. It broadcasts an SSID, but I have no idea what the what it does. I'm assuming it's to control it, but yeah, it's just a cool little thing. I've always wanted one of these like cube matrices. I would probably buy a pre-assembled one, even if it was a couple $100, because I think that kit was like $40, and the amount of time I put into it was, I don't think it was worth the end result, but you know, I committed to it, so it's been working, so there's that. But if that dies, I'll probably just buy a pre-assembled one. Let's see, John Gropp, about to throw my ANET A Plus out the window. Don't give up on it. At the very least, part it out and give it a new life. Let's see here. We already answered where's the beard. I'm looking for questions. Can you replace their controller board with one of ours? On the ANETs, I'm assuming you're talking about the ANETs. I mean, you could put any controller board, you know, virtually any controller board. Let's just not speak in absolutes here, but you can put virtually any control board in any printer. It's just how much time do you want? And if the controller you're putting in has enough drivers to drive the motors that are on the printer. So, Swallowpad has a question. I have the EasyPi. How do you do power loss recovery for a print with the printer running off that? You don't. Power loss recovery, I'm assuming you're talking about the one that's built into the printer firmware. That is only for SD printing. When you're using an EasyPi, which is our Octoprint kit, it is USB printing. So the power loss recovery only works when you're printing off SD, and I use the term works loosely. It's very hit and miss. I found it to be very unreliable. And, you know, the thing is, if you guys know, most of the time when you're running a print, if you lose power for long enough and the bed cools down, your print's probably going to release from the bed most of the time. In addition to your motors also, you know, losing their position, which it's very sketchy to do power resume. I don't recommend you use it. It's also very hard on your SD card. My recommendation, which is what we do here, and I saw when we did the roast me stream, a lot of people seem to be doing the same thing I do, which is just put your printer on a battery backup. You know, to give you an idea, you know, for an Ender 3, if you have something like a 750 VA battery backup or larger, that will usually get you about 10 to 15 minutes of print time. We usually stack about 3 Ender 3s on one 1500 VA unit, and that'll get us about 4 to 5 minutes of runtime if our power goes out. If my power's out longer than that, then we're just going to let the prints fail. That's my recommendation, is put your printer in, since you have the EasyPi, put that also on the battery backup. All my computer, who is pinging me? Let me just go ahead and put my phone on mute here. Sorry about that. But all of my stuff here is on battery backup. All of my desktop, my network switches, my, you know, anything that's electronic, TVs. I probably have about 30 plus battery backups on the property here. So I'm a very big proponent of using battery backups. So that's my recommendation here. So, let's see. I'm looking for questions, and chat jumped. Brian says, Tim, I need your help. Well, hopefully I can help you. My printer is shifting prints and it continues to keep shifting. I tightened everything, checked all connections. I'm frustrated. Do you have pictures of your failures? I do have a print failure to share, which I need to check on the Daedalus here because I was having issues with the nozzle hitting the PET G and doing things like this. This was lovely. Let me check that print really quick. If you have pictures of your print failure, post it in the Livestream channel on our Discord server. There's a link in the video description that you can do that. We're looking pretty good. So, because in this case, this was not an issue with the printer itself, where there was a mechanical problem or a what's the word I'm looking for? This is not a treat. Go lay down. Go lay down. This was an issue where I was, running the printer unattended. I came back in to check on it, came back to this, and the nozzle hit. And if I look at the failed print, I can see right here where it kind of pulled up and the nozzle pulled it, which then made it lose its position, and then we end up with this. You can see this is shifted. It's no longer lined up. It just went all sorts out of whack. And a lot of the times, if you get layer shifts, usually the nozzle colliding with the physical print is what I found is most common. Rarely is it a machine issue. It can be a machine issue, whether that's not enough amperage going to the stepper motor, so they don't have enough torque. If it does, kind of bump into something, it loses steps instead of being able to kind of push through it. It could be a loose belt. It could be, if you have a V-slot wheel or even linear rails, something not moving smoothly is causing additional resistance, which is then forcing the motor to work harder, and it can't push through that, so then you lose steps. But in my experience, more often than not, your nozzle physically hitting the print is where I get most of my layer shifts from. So you can see this is very clearly shifted here. So you can see this was supposed to be lined up with the edge here, and it's not because it shifted the whole print. So that's the first thing to check. I think it was Kyle, a Viper GTR is his username in here. He was having issues with the S5 as well, and he was having issues with it hitting and was going through all these different troubleshooting steps. Now, with some of the larger printers, if you're using Cura, I don't know if they still do this, but in the past, there was a Cura update that started sending commands to change the jerk values on your printer. Jerk is how quickly it will change direction. And what was happening is Cura was setting the jerk values very high for, the CR10 S4 and the S5 users. So they'd set the jerk value very high, so it would try to make the bed change direction very quickly. And they're big, heavy beds. So what would happen, instead of it changing direction quickly, it would just skip steps, and then you have layer shifts. So hopefully, those are the issues I've noticed in terms of layer shifting. The first thing I would check too, if you've ruled out your nozzle physically hitting something, is looking at all your wiring and making sure that your plugs are all firmly connected and that there's no intermittent connections too, because I have had issues where I've had the motor connectors, they look like they're fully inserted, but the actual pins, not the pins, but the part that makes contact with the pins inside the connector are not actually making full contact. And what you can do sometimes is pop those pins out of the connector, give them a gentle squeeze with some tweezers, just give them a little more tension, and then plug it back in so it makes a more solid physical connection between the actual plug and the pins on the motor. So let's see. I'm looking here. Brian is also asking, do we have SKR Mini V3 Easy ABL Pro? Did they release a V3 SKR Mini? I do not follow Big Tree Tech stuff because I do not think they make very good products. I'm not surprised. Oh, the V3, that's the one with the giant heatsink because they're too cheap to use adequate copper on their PCBs. I do remember this one. I don't have plans for it right now. I got a lot of other stuff on my plate. I would probably try contacting them and seeing if they could give you guys some firmware. But if you have that board and it's in Marlin, I would assume it is in Marlin already, because they are usually pretty good about publishing their pins files and getting their boards into the official Marlin branch. We do have an article here. I'm typing it up. I cannot type and talk at the same time. I do have an article about setting up our Easy ABL Pro with the recommended settings and configurations for Marlin. So you can just kind of follow through that, and it's got all the recommended settings that you would put in. So I don't have that board. I like to actually get boards and test them with the firmware before putting out a firmware. And I don't have one of those. So let's see. JT was wondering if there's any plans for making a guide wiring a PT100 amplifier board to the Easy board, or if you're going to add extra sections to the Easy board to installation guide. So I have a PT100 amplifier. I found those are going away. People aren't using them as many or as frequently. But I will, let me check my to-do list. If it's not on my to-do list, I will add that on. I do have here, so I have, which I got to update my to-do list. Oh man, I have so many lists. It's you know, I'm optimistic, but I have had a lot going on lately. So, but yeah, no, there will be a PT100 setup guide. I'm not sure exactly which pins we're going to use. We had tested it on some of the TX RX pins and it worked. Basically, you just need one data pin to connect it and then specify it. But then we'll add an option in there that will predefine what pin number it's going to go on based on how we tell you to hook it up in the guide. So yeah, not many people use those anymore. Most people are switching to, I believe they're the PT1000 thermistors. PT100 is a thermal couple, which is why it needs the amplifier board. But the PT1000 is one that people seem to be using for high temp applications. The other one is Slice has their 300C and 500C thermistors. Their 500C thermistors are out of stock, and I'm aware of this because I went to go order one to test firmware because one of our customers was telling me that on every single board he's tried, our boards, MKS, the Creality boards, when you use those thermistors with the 1047 value, I believe, for the thermistor number, he was having the hot end would just shut itself off after 30 minutes, and it was only when that thermistor was defined. So I think there might actually be a bug in Marlin. I haven't proved this myself, but I'm waiting on, he's sending me one of his 500C Slice thermistors to test with, and I'm going to send it back to him because he thought there was an issue with our Easy board. V2, he sent it in, I tested it, there was nothing wrong with it, and then I was talking to him on the phone the other day, and he said, yeah, I've tried it with a bunch of other boards, including a Creality board, and it does the same exact thing. You know, you'll be 30 minutes into a print, and then it'll just, the hot end will just stop heating. So it doesn't throw any errors, it's just weird. So, let's see here. What's your opinion on the Ratrig V-Minion? I don't know about it, but let's Google it and see. Ratrig seems to make some pretty good stuff. I don't have anything bad to say about Ratrig. They've been around for a while. They made AM8 conversion kits for a while back. Oh, it's a little cantilever printer with linear rails. Okay, I am a big fan of tiny printers. I feel like I've said this before. I don't know why. So don't ask me. It's just a weird obsession I have. I have some weird thing about just liking these tiny little machines, and you just soup them up to all hell, and it's just interesting because they're so tiny. But yeah, let's pull this up. This looks cool. So nice build plate, multiple board compatibility. I like that. So they're drilling multiple different holes, so you can use whatever board. They got a Pi 3. It's 2022. I would like to have seen a Pi 4. It does say the default design supports the SKR Mini, so that means the Creality boards and our Easy board would bolt up into this. I mean, this is a cute little printer with linear rails. So what is it? Just standard 4 drivers, it looks like. So we got, you know, X, Y, Z, and E. I'd probably buy this. How much do they want for this? It's kind of cute. The full kit is $549. That's a bit steep for something small, but it could be fun. I'm intrigued. I'm not going to buy this because the amount of money for something I don't need is high. And does this come with an extruder? The full kit? What does this come with? What do you get for 549 euros? So that's, what is that, US 600 something? Help if I spelled it correctly. 549, so 622 bucks. You can get an Ender 5 or Ender 6 for less than that these days. Let's see the full kit. What does it come with? So it looks like you're going to Bondtech LGX and a Dragonfly BMO hot end, and it's got the SKR2, a little inductive probe on there. GDS time fans, they're okay. Depends on what fans. Hopefully they're using ball bearing fans because GDS makes a ton of different fans. This is nice though. The 5mm thick cast or is it a cast? I thought I saw a cast on here. Yeah, cast and pre-surface. So that's good. So I mean, just this plate, this is probably $100 tops. So I mean, I like it. If this was like 350, 400, and this is a kit, so you have to build this. I would say it was 350, 400 US dollars. I'd probably bite just because it does look to be a pretty high quality machine. But there's really not much on here aside from renders. Wasn't there a picture or video of the actual machine? I thought there was. These are all renders. I'm not a big fan of renders. And is this all renders too? This is all renders too. I swear to God, I thought I saw an actual picture of a completed machine. Or is it on here? Was it up here? Okay, here we go. So yeah, they do have one, a little time lapse of it doing prints. It's cute, don't get me wrong. I probably wouldn't buy it just because, one, it's a kit. And that's a little steep for a kit. Because what is a Prusa mini? Oh no. I'm pushing Prusa. Oh no. I'm part of the Prusa comment farm. Let's see. So here you go. You got a Prusa mini. This is the assembled one as far as I know. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, because you got the kit and you got the original one. Like basically you just bolt this up. Pretty quick assembly, so you're not literally assembling everything. This is only $400. So that's kind of a hard sell. What do you guys think? I'm curious to see. I have chat. I have chat up here. Let me see. I'm looking to see what people are saying. 540. It was 549 euros shipped for the full kit. Yeah, that's a kit. I'm looking here. Not much chat. You guys are not chatting much today, which means it's probably going to be a short stream if you guys don't have stuff for me to talk about. So anyways, let's scroll back up and see. I highlighted where I was. There we go. Just search for rat rig. Let's see. I'm looking for more questions. Mambix Communications, didn't know you guys were in Hobart. My family owns Blast Camp. That's awesome. I wanted to go there. I haven't been paintballing in freaking years. Get in touch with me. Shoot me a message and through our contact form on our website, and just say you're a local guy looking to connect with me. And that sounds weird. It sounds like a dating thing. But just send us a message and my guys will get it over. That'd be cool. I haven't paintballed in years. I used to have a Tipman A5 and 98 Custom. Everybody had 98 Customs. I miss paintballing. Maybe a company outing? Go shoot my employees? Shoot them with paintball guns? Let's be clear here. I feel like they would enjoy shooting me too. So it'd be a win-win. Let's see. Old School Wrecker says, my Indicator Castle Linear Plus has a problem when bed leveling. It hits the first point and then tries to do it in midair, then randomly stops. Any thoughts? I believe the Castle Linear, doesn't that have a BL Touch on it? I'm not sure what probe that has. I don't have enough information to actually go into detail. I haven't messed with those in a while. I'm looking up the Castle Linear Plus. One of the first printers I ever did a... What are you rooting around about? One of the first printers I ever did a video. If you guys go way back into the archives of videos here, it was way before TH3 was even a thing. They sent me one of their linear rails, or not linear rail, their pulley machines, and I'll be honest, I'm not a big fan of deltas. They look really cool when they're printing. They can go pretty fast, but in terms of the space they occupy versus the build volume I get versus like a Cartesian machine, they're not ideal for me because I would rather have a bigger build volume and a square rectangular build volume versus a circle. You're kind of limited because of the circular bed. But I'll see if I'll have to circle back with that one here. I don't know if you are. I don't know if you're what's it called. I don't know if you're posting more details or you're still around. But anyways, let's let me scroll back up and find my position and move to the next question. And if you post more details on what kind of probing and stuff it uses, then I'd be more than happy to elaborate if I can. All right, let's see. Topic Waffle. I kill my bed heaters when running on battery. Makes it last a lot longer. Could be a cool Octoprint plugin to detect UPS power event and adjust bed accordingly. That would be cool. And the thing is, Octoprint is running Linux, so you could plug a USB UPS into your Pi and do a LS USB, and it'll probably show up because most of them are just USB to serial. And what is it? Nut Network UPS tools, they usually support most UPS drivers, so it wouldn't be too hard to integrate that. The thing would be standardizing and automating that setup of the recognition of the UPS, and then trying to also what's the word I'm looking for? Trying to have that setup automated so people aren't digging into SSH and stuff. So, Swallowpad, what brand do you like for battery backup? I've been buying a lot more CyberPowers. I have CyberPower APCs, so those are my two. I've had good luck with either of them for warranty. Any time I've bought any other brand other than those two, I've had nothing but issues when like the batteries die. Most UPSs, when they stop working, they just need new batteries. Many of you may not be aware of this, but on most UPSs, there are some that don't, but most UPSs are actually running off of the battery, kind of passing it through at all times, so that way if the power fails, it can intervene really quickly and switch over to battery. There are some that run in kind of a standby mode, and there's like a slight delay from the time it switches over from wall power to battery, but for the most part, you're running power through these batteries all the time, so eventually they'll wear out. I've gotten anywhere from 3 to 5 years for battery life on my UPS batteries, and the cool thing is if you pull the batteries out of the unit, and there's usually a sticker, like APC puts stickers over there to cover up the brand and the details. If you peel that sticker back, you can usually get the voltage. They're usually 12 volt sealed lead acid batteries and the amp hour rating. And there's usually two types of terminals. I can't remember the numbers, but there's a larger one and a smaller one. And basically if you match up the battery that's in your UPS with a standard battery, you can usually replace the battery for about $20 to $30 per battery. You know, in a 1500 VA UPS, they'll usually have two batteries in them, so you're spending, you know, anywhere from $40 to $60 for two new batteries instead of about $150 to $200 for a new UPS. So I've got some UPSs here that are 10 years old that are on, you know, their second or third set of batteries, and, you know, I just replace them. So if they're out of warranty, that's what I do. I just buy new batteries. Let's see. What else do we have here? Hope there's more questions. We're moving along pretty good. We've already been streaming for 37 minutes. I did not realize that. I guess time flies when you're having fun. Let's see. Layden says, have you ever had a nozzle rubbing on the infill on Cura's cubic infill? I have not used Cura's cubic infill, but I have had nozzles rub on infill. It could be that your print's pulling up from the bed and it's starting to warp, so it's hitting it. Could also be that you're overcooling. I try to keep that in the front of my mind because I've had a lot of issues where corners and stuff would curl up and warp, and I played with temperatures and it ended up being, you know, 9 times out of 10, I was running too much fan. So it was curling up and warping. And I've also had overcooling cause weak infill as well. So if your infill is not bonding to the previous layer, it could be lifting up just enough for your nozzle to hit it. The easiest way to tell if your infill is bonding or not is, you know, if you have a print that failed, push your finger into it. If it goes right into it and you hear like a lot of crunching and cracking, that usually means that it did not have proper layer adhesion. So it could be you're running the temp too low. You could be overcooling it. Just play with those settings and see. A lot of times it's something similar. Something simpler than it first appears. So, and you know, it took me a while to realize that overcooling was causing warping. It's very common on larger nozzle printers. So I've got most of my printers at 0.4 nozzles. I've got a couple with 0.6s. The Daedalus has a 0.6, my Ender 5 Plus behind me has a 0.6, and my CR10 right there has a 0.6, and my Big Bertha build, which started its life as an Alpha-wise U10, that has a 0.8 in it. So, and I've noticed that you're more prone to get the warping of the edges of a print, in terms of like when you have overhangs and stuff, and even infill when you're running the fans too high. So sometimes less cooling is better. So play around with your settings and keep an eye on the print to see where the failures are occurring. That's why I'm going to keep popping over here and checking on this to see if the print comes up again like it did here. I cleaned the plate, threw down some Vision Miner nanopolymer. This is PETG, and I'm going to see if that does it. So let me see here. So 3D Jeff, Brian, did you post your... Brian said I posted the picture in Discord. What's your username, Brian? I see 3D Jeff had a post here, but I'm not seeing. I'm looking in the live streams channel. That's the only channel I'm looking for. There's a lot of channels on the TH3D server. I only look at the live stream one, so I'm not having to click between a bunch of different ones. All right. Wowzer says, Happy New Year. Oh, sorry. 3D Print Professor asked if I saw his Princess Bride lightsaber project. I have not. And I Googled it while we were talking about other things, and I couldn't find the video, so I gave up. If you want to post it in the live stream channel or Discord server, feel free to. I can check it out. So Wowzer says, Happy New Year. What do you think about Clipper? I think Clipper is neat if you got the time to play with it. I have not played with it in 2+ years now when it was still very new. And I have not had a chance to play with it because I need more free time. And I've been trying to wrap up other projects before I start taking on new stuff. Because if I really like Clipper, what's going to happen is that's going to be the rabbit hole I go down for the next month and a half. And I'm not quite ready for that because I feel like I'll probably get sucked into it and enjoy it. You know, it's definitely for people who like to tinker. I do like to tinker. I just need more time. Let's see here. So Tapa Waffle says, I've got an old ass tough extruder that clicks like every 30 seconds of printing. I can't find anything wrong with it when I take it apart. Typically, when I've had that happen, because I have had ones do that, usually there's like a bearing that's starting to go bad. If it's really old, like I've had it happen on ones that are like a year and a half to, 2 years old. Bearings, they're going to wear out. Typically it's the bearing or it's just a simple misalignment. Typically I've had issues with the bearing. It looks like Tor found 3D Printing Professor's video. This does look cool, so I'll show it. I like some nerdy shit. If you guys couldn't tell, I mean, I literally wrote 3D printing coming, so I would hope I would like nerdy shit. It's like, needs a little more pixels, but that's pretty cool. Don't copyright strike me. Let's see. The audio's pretty how you doing, but I see RGB. I love RGB. NeoPixels. I love me some NeoPixels. That's pretty cool. I'd like to see the build on that. Is there more info January 4th? Let's see. I'm going to turn off the audio share here. Is there a video? Looks like you just posted this yesterday. Let's see. Oh, I'm not even... Hang on, let me switch browsers so I can actually follow here because I don't use Twitter personally. I'm not a big fan of Twitter. I am following already. So, but I never check Twitter. Where's the final video? This would be a really cool video for the channel. Interesting. I like nerdy stuff like that. I'm actually getting ready. The next lighting project I'm going to be doing, and there will be 3D printing, so I'm probably going to do a video on it. I want to do one on the 150-inch projector screen with the Hyperion setup, but it ended up being too hard to film. I didn't have any help to film it because it was done after hours, and yeah, the tripod setup I had was terrible, so I said screw it. I finished it. But the next thing I want to do is, so going down to the basement, to the theater room, we have a set of stairs here, and I want to put NeoPixels down the whole flight of stairs. So it comes down, there's a little land, and it finishes. So I can either control it with Home Assistant to either have it as a static color. But there was a video I found the other day, which was really ingenious, where a guy used a motion sensor at the top and the bottom. So as you get close to the stairs at the top or the bottom, the lights come on and they like guide your path as you walk. So you time it so the lights start at whatever sensor tripped it. So if it started at the bottom, the lights will start lighting up the bottom, go up, and then, you know, guide your path and then shut off automatically. But you can also then, if I just want to have them on, let's say I'm having a party or something or a bunch of people over, you can also have them on or doing patterns and stuff. So it's a cool little light show. That's something I am definitely interested in. I'm going to be probably putting a lot more NeoPixels in my theater room down there, running the WLED firmware. So if you guys are into that kind of stuff, that's some projects I want to start doing. I'm making a list of all the stuff I want to do. So let's see here. Wow, it's already 4:45. Let's see. Raymond is asking, I'm preparing to remove the stock Hotend from my CR10S Pro to a Microswitch Hotend. Does this require a firmware update? Typically, it does not. And I say typically because it depends on what you're changing. If you're just changing the physical Hotend and you're reusing the stock heater and the thermistor, no, you do not need to change the firmware. If you're changing out the thermistor to a different type other than what the printer came with, then yes, you would need to update the firmware. I would recommend that you do what's called a PID tune after you change your Hotend, because it's going to have a little bit different thermal properties from the stock one. And I have an article for that. So I'm going to go ahead and post it in the chat and tag you if you want to check it out. The only thing is the stock firmware may not support PID calibration. Most stock firmwares have this disabled. But if you are running like our LCD conversion kit that runs our Unified 2 firmware, then you can absolutely do PID tuning that is enabled in all of our firmware builds. So if you are running our Unified firmware on your printer and you want to PID tune your Hotend to get a little more accurate temperatures, you can go ahead and do that. It's, you know, just a thing you do. It doesn't cost you anything. So, but yeah, anytime you change a Hotend, change a thermistor, I would recommend you at least run a PID tune. If you change a thermistor to one that's different from the stock one, like you're going to a high temp one, or you just, you know, couldn't get the same type of thermistor, then yeah, you would need to update the firmware. Now, if you guys are looking for thermistors for, you know, most of your Chinese printers, your ANETs, your Crealities, your Sovols, the thermistors we carry in our shop they use Marlin definition 1 in the firmware, which is also what Creality stock thermistors use. They're the same type, so they're a direct replacement. You don't need to update the firmware to use our thermistors on those printers. You can literally just cut the wires on the old one, splice the new one in, and go about your day. I still would recommend a PID tune, but it's not the end of the world if you don't. So let's see. Pi 4s are hard to find. Pi 3s and 4s are hard to find. Pis are hard to find in general. I've been having to go through multiple different vendors to try to get Pi boards, and I still can't buy them in quantity. I used to be able to buy 100 boards at a time, and I haven't been able to buy more than like 20 or 30, and the prices are way inflated. So, you know, we've been paying anywhere from you know, 80 to 90, almost $100 a Pi board, which is why the price on the Easy Pi kits went up, because we're paying more for the boards. We are having a hard time finding them anywhere close to MSRP, and I think everybody's kind of in the same boat there. So let's see. I'm looking here. Chat. I was waiting for chat to jump. Why do we get so many? What is with the Russian spammers? Is this return of what the hell was his name? George Formachev from what was it? Endurance scam lasers. Let's see here. The rat rig doesn't come with sock puppets. Oh my god. I'm looking for where I left off. This is why I need the questions filtered out. I'm going to work on that. I'm going to see. Maybe someone already wrote a bot. Okay, there we go. Stock Hotend. We're back to where I was. I'm looking for questions right now. Probably look creepy just staring at my monitor. Brian asks, best closed-loop motors to buy? I don't have any recommendations because I don't use closed-loop motors. Tell me, Waffle, you have your 98 custom paintball gun still? That's wild. I'm willing to bet there's stuff you can print for that now. That was like the Glock of paintball guns. Like they just kept running. CA Dragon, the dual Z stepper motor adapter cable I bought for now, what would make the Z axis go up instead of down? That's normal with those because it inverts the direction. You could either just, on the 4 pins, so I don't have one of those cables lying around. Wait, I lied. Wait. Okay, I kind of lied. I kind of didn't. Here we go. Okay, I was like, I knew I had a cable here. So, this is just a generic stepper motor cable, but you have the 4 wires here, okay? Come on, focus. So if you literally just take these 4 wires out and flip them, so imagine you pop this off, rotate it 180 and pop it back on, that will reverse the direction of your motors, or you can just do it in firmware as well. So it's pretty simple. So if you have your own custom build of Marlin, I would just reverse in the firmware. Otherwise, and this works with basically, I'm sure there's ones that it won't work with, but when you have these 4-pin JST stepper motor plugs, if you need to reverse the motor direction, you don't feel like making a firmware change, or maybe you have a printer that you can't do it, you can just pop these 4 wires out, rotate them, and then put it back in. So basically 1 would go to 4, and 2 would go to 3, and vice versa. Then 4 would be 1, and 3 would be 2, and that will reverse your motor direction. So, but if you can do it in firmware, it's just easier to do it in firmware. So, let's see here. What we get, so Justin Dybell is making a lighted chest set. I'd like to have the lighting be even as possible. What's the best way to get even lighting? You'd want to do something to diffuse that light. You could probably print, something. I know you have the resin printers. There are some resins, like if you found like a cloudy type resin, you might be able to just do that if you have like a milky white type resin. Otherwise, you can purchase diffusers online for LEDs. I've got like aluminum channel I bought that came with diffusers, and diffuser is going to be the best way to go. So, and you just put a little distance between it, and it makes a big difference. So I have diffusers on my my Hyperion LED project. They look great. So, but I would imagine you could print them if you did, you know, like a clear-ish resin that's kind of milky, not like a clear, not like a translucent, but something that's got a milky appearance. Because I have printed resins that come out like a milky color. If you found something that was milky white and only did a couple layers of thickness, it probably would function pretty well as a diffuser. So, Violent Knight posted some pictures. I'm trying to remember who this was in the chat here, of a layer shift. Let's see. I'm going to open these photos up in my browser. I do like that Discord actually lets you post high-resolution photos. And I know they're high-resolution because they're taking a while to load on my gig connection here. All right, main monitor. Let's see here. Yeah, that's definitely a layer shift. Now, I am willing to bet... that it was probably lifting. Because, I mean, the purge line... Or not the purge line. It looks like he did a skirt, possibly. Unless this is just... If this is just like... what's the word I'm looking for? Just like stuff flipping around. That might be it. I would like to see what the heater block looks like. Because one other issue I've had that causes layer shifts is if you have, because I see you have a, looks like a E3D V6 gold in here. If your nozzle is not tightened up properly against your heat break, what will happen is the filament will leak out, and even if it's a slow leak, little blobs will drip off and go onto the print. Your nozzle will hit those blobs. One thing I'm going to tell you right now, get rid of these white belts. These are terrible to use with these on the printers. They're way too rigid. These are like a steel belted ones. You want to use something that's like a fiber reinforced. We do carry belting in our store that's a fiber reinforced belt. But I've had issues because a lot of people, there was a trend for a while where people were going to these like reinforced belts. And the problem is when you have this tight of a bend radius on here, the steel belting starts cracking. And it causes issues. So I don't know if that's the problem, but I just wanted to point that out because I have had problems with these belts. I haven't used them in years because they just weren't functioning correctly. You know, the other thing I would want to make sure is watch it and see if your print was lifting. So if your nozzle height's a little too high, which it looks like it might be, because I'm assuming this is the bottom of the print. And I see gaps here, which tells me that the Z height was not correct. So you might need to adjust your offset. I see you got the Easy ABL in there. So you might need to make your offset a little closer or adjust your slicer settings. Maybe you're under extruding a little bit. So, but that's what I would start with, just based on the pictures I have there. So let's see, we were almost done with the hour, and I started on time today. Let's see what other questions we have before I give Remo his TREAT, and we wrap the stream up. So let's see here. Who is the next question? Cyberdeck Cafe. I hear the voice, but I've never seen this face before. Is it really that bad? I do think I look better with a beard. I definitely look my age with a beard. I see people asking about the Revo Hotend. Any plans to review it? I do want to order them. I do think it looks like a really cool system. I just haven't. Yeah, I'm making a promise to myself of not ordering new stuff unless I actually am going to have time to play with it, because I'm very bad about buying stuff and not getting to it. There's a Voxlab Aquila X2 sitting brand new in the box over here. And I also have, well, there was a review unit, so there's going to be another laser engraver from Atom Stack coming on here. I want to get that done next week or the week after at the very latest. I did like playing with their first one. I had a lot of fun with that. Mark is asking, I've got a Corellia Ender 6 coming out on Monday. I already picked up a BL Touch and the flex bed for me. Are you happy with the Ender 6? I'm pretty happy with my Ender 6. I know people have said they've had issues with the stock control. Oh, excuse me. The stock control boards. Knock on wood, I haven't had issues with mine yet. I'm probably going to convert it over to an easy board and use it as kind of an example to make documentation on how to switch it over for people that don't care about not having easy access to the SD slot, because the easy board can be made to work in the Ender 6. It's just a little more involved because of how Creality did the wiring on like the end stops and some of the thermistors where they're sharing wires, sharing ground lines from other things. I want to make sure that I get everything correctly documented so people aren't frying things. So let's see here. I'm looking for questions. SKL, what is needed to use a V6 with a Microswitch direct drive extruder? I would assume you just need a mount that would allow you to fit that V6 onto that. But if it's like a Creality one, I think those are pretty tight in terms of how everything mounts. You might not be able to fit a V6 on there because I think the filament path is going to be kind of offset versus stock Creality Hotend, because the V6s are around Hotend and the stock Creality ones are kind of like an oval, so they sit flat. Let's see here. Oh no, Chad jumped. I'm losing my position here. All right, we're back. People are saying they can't get to the giveaway form. If you can't get to the giveaway form, it's probably because your computer or your browser is caching the old URL. I updated the redirect about an hour before the stream. So if you clear your cache or open like a incognito or private window and go to the giveaway form, it'll probably work. So let me see here. See if there's any quick questions before I can before I wrap this up here. Jonathan Bayer, I was able to use a TH3D runout sensor working on an Ender 6 by using the cable that came with it. The Ender 6 cable or our cable? Because they're slightly different wiring. But I believe they're the same logic. Because I was looking at the config, I'm pretty sure our sensor is the same logic as the Creality Ender 6 sensor. I have not tested it. It's on my list to see if it does work, but I would just make sure that your wiring is correct, because usually what happens is the Creality wiring versus our sensor wiring, the outer two pins are flipped on the 3-pin cable, and when that happens, if the filament runs out, it can short 5-volt to ground, and sometimes you need to reverse those, but I haven't actually hooked ours onto that board. Let's see here. Spasmatic, why is it on the TH3D firmware the hotend temp and bed temp are spread out on the display? Can I make it more look like the stock Marlin where it's closer together? It's probably just due to the differences with the Marlin version we use and the stock Marlin. So as Marlin makes updates, they change the layouts of things slightly. So any Marlin layout changes will come over to our firmware because our firmware is built on top of Marlin. So let's see if there's any other quick questions, and then we're going to wrap this up. We're going to give Remo his treat. And yeah, so Spasmatic, can I get a red easy ABL? We only have blue ones. The red top ones were like the first production run, and then we were able to get enough volume to switch over to blue, and blue's kind of our color, so I switched over to blue. Mark Lyon, I had a question about the 24-volt 5015 blower fans. When will they be back in stock? I would assume 2 to 3 weeks tops. There was a shortage on the actual plastic material that they're made out of for the housing. And yeah, they said they were shipping, I believe, today. I got to check with my supplier. Let's see. Oh, they said January 10th, but they did... Oh, they gave me a tracking number. So it looks like... Let's pull this up. It looks like we might have them fairly soon. Let me see. DHL. Track package. Let's see. They're processing my request. It says January 10th by end of day. So I'm assuming that we should have these pretty quick. Let's see. All shipment updates. Where are they at? I'm just checking here. They're at a sorting facility on their way to the U.S. right now. So they just left a sorting facility over in Hong Kong, and they're on their way to us in the U.S. So looks like we should have them, what is that, next week, the 10th, so Monday? Now, I'm assuming there could be delays, but DHL is usually pretty good. So it looks like we'll have them sooner than I thought. Let's see. I think that's it. I'm just double checking here. Reasonable Beings asking about the next-gen EasyBoard to support the independent Dual Z. Griffin has been tied up, but I do want to meet with him on working on our EasyBoard, what we're going to call the Pro. So it's going to be a universal type control board with just tons of features. So it will not be a Creality style layout in terms of screw holes and whatnot. The plans are to make the new EasyBoard V2, the new Pro one, be our first foray into kind of a duet competitor. I'm not going to say big tree tech because we're more aiming towards a higher end duet market, because we do use better quality parts and have support for everything. So I don't see any other questions here. If I missed anything, I apologize, but we are up on time. We are going to do the Ceremonial Dingo Stick. Was he listening? I don't see ears popping up. I don't know where he is. Oh, he's behind me. You want a dingo stick because you're a good boy? Yeah. We should make a Wi-Fi connected treat dispenser so chat could give you treats. Would you like that? Would you like it if chat could give you treats? Can you speak? Come on. I know you know it. Give me a speak. That was such a wimpy ass speak. Can I get a good speak? Can I give an actual one? Like a big woof? Come on, woof. Sit down. No, sit, shake, speak. Good boy. That's a good woof. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I hope you guys learned something. If you guys haven't already, make sure to check out our Discord server. I'm going to post it in here. Where we've got tons of stuff for if you need help with your printer, you just want to hang out, make some new friends. If you guys are a YouTube channel member, make sure if you have a Discord account and you're in our Discord server to connect your YouTube account that you use to be a sponsor to Discord. If you're in the Cult of TH3D level, you do get instant access then to the VIP section of Discord server. That's usually where I hang out. I'll pop on video and voice chat, and like last night, I think we had like 6 or 7 people in there. Doug, aka Top at Waffle, he was playing some Beat Saber. I was playing some Beat Saber the other day because I finally got my my old Vive hooked back up. So that's where you can find me. I don't spend too much time on social media stuff other than Discord, and that's about it. And if you guys also are into forums, I do still have the Maker Forum up and running. That's makerforum.tech. And that's a good old classic forum that is just a little side project of me. It's not owned by TH3D. It's just a personal little pet project of mine. So if you guys like forums, or if you want a place to put your files or projects to be able to have a URL to share, instead of it getting lost in, Facebook groups, feel free to use that. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I appreciate everybody that stopped by, and I will see you guys on the next one. And as always, happy printing.